Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast. We are available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to dive into the news, then we're going to talk about Google Stadia, and then we are going to talk about our recent activities. So, the first piece of news is that Marvel is exploring options with introducing Deadpool into the MCU. So, the first option is a solo Deadpool movie like Deadpool 3. The second one is a limited time Disney Plus series, and then guest starring in Spider-Man 3. So, personally, I think the Disney Plus series is probably my least favorite idea. But him starring in Spider-Man 3 wouldn't be that terrible either. I just think that a Deadpool 3 with Spider-Man in it would be much better sort of thing, instead of Deadpool being in a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man just being in a Deadpool movie.
Right. I mean, I agree with that. I think he should, I don't know if a new solo film would work, because they're saying they want it to be, PG-13, right? They don't want him to be a hard R anymore because, Disney and stuff. And the MCU's never... possibly. I don't think MCU has really never had an R-rated movie before, and I don't really see that changing because it's still Disney. Mm-hmm. So
and they want to make money, so
yeah, and they want to make as much money as possible, obviously, because if you made it R, you're gonna cut down a lot of your audience there. But I think Fox I think it was Fox that owned Deadpool, right?
Yeah,
I think they did a really good job with 1 and 2. So it's like the only hero that I'm sad is going to the MCU, because I don't really know if Disney could really pull him off that well, but I guess we're gonna have to see. But I agree with you. I think a Disney Plus series would probably be the worst option out of the 3 they said here. I think my favorite one is guest starring in Spider-Man 3. Just have him there, just hey, he's in the MCU now, and then maybe go into a full movie by himself. But yeah, I think that's probably the best approach to go here.
Mm-hmm. Because it's still up in the air exactly what happens after Far From Home, because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But if they have no other options in terms of where they want to take Spider-Man and that character, having Deadpool in Spider-Man 3 as comic relief, or more comic relief and comedy stuff than there already is within the other Spider-Man movies, I wouldn't see that as a bad thing. It would definitely work, because I think that it would play off of the fact that, hey, it's a PG-13 movie and Deadpool has to censor himself and do all this other crazy nonsense, which worked in the that Deadpool limited time holiday movie, which I saw. It was okay, but it was definitely their attempt at doing PG-13 Deadpool, which didn't work all that well, just because I know what the R-rated version is. But for what it was, I think a PG-13 Deadpool can work. It's just that they have to do it in a very different way, if I can say that.
They just gotta be more clever with his things and stuff. I just don't want it to devolve into chimichangas or whatever.
Yeah, memes.
Yeah, that. I don't want that. Alrighty, so next bit of news, and this is a pretty big one, is Mario Maker Online is limited to randoms, and Nintendo's reasoning is just because it'll mess up leaderboards if you can play with friends, which is stupid.
Yeah,
I just don't really understand. Really understand how Nintendo keeps messing up online as bad as they do. Even like Splatoon, right? Splatoon is always really annoying to play with friends if you're not playing Salmon Run. I feel it's always such a hassle. Same thing with Smash. It doesn't feel that intuitive. You have to go the arena and then invite them and stuff like that. And this one just totally kills it. You can't play online at all with your friends. It just makes no sense to me. You can just disable leaderboards. I don't understand what the problem here is.
Yeah, Nintendo really didn't think this through. They sort of were just oh, it's going to mess up the leaderboards, but it's you could just turn those off when you play with friends, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, I think that this definitely killed the hype for a lot of people, because when they saw the Mario Maker 2 Direct, they were like, oh, look, multiplayer with friends. That's going to be very cool to do online and stuff. And then it was oh, wait, I actually can't do that online. I can only do it locally. So that really sucks, but I think that the game's still going to do well, obviously, but when it comes to conventions, I think that this is definitely going to be the hot game that people are going to play and bust out with their Switches and stuff like that. So, but who knows? Obviously, they could reverse this with a patch or something like that down the road. I don't know if they will. Nintendo is definitely up in the air and 50-50 when it comes to a lot of things when it comes to online. So yeah, it definitely sucks that you can't play online with your friends in like a very simple and easy way. But yeah, it's Nintendo.
Yeah, and I highly doubt they're gonna change this, because every time someone makes a big stink about like, oh, the online sucks, like, you know, like I remember people being real mad when Smash came out and the online wasn't that great, and same thing with Mario Party, where it's like, oh, you can only play like the mini games only like 6 at a time. You know, they never change that. It's always gonna be like the same. So I highly doubt that this is gonna change either, which is sad, but you know, it's Nintendo, so we can't really expect any good online from them.
Yeah. Okay, so the next bit of news is that June 10th, which is 3 days from now, we will see the first look at Marvel's Avengers, which is being developed by Square Enix or published by them. Oh, no, it's being developed by Crystal Dynamics, the people that did the recent Tomb Raider games. So that is definitely going to be very interesting, because we already have like this Marvel universe of games with the Spider-Man game to start off. So I wonder exactly on how this Avengers game is going to play out.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's going to have multiple play styles and all that stuff. And it really just depends on how each hero like just feels. Like, I don't want it to be like a Sonic Adventure 2 situation where it's like I only like playing as Captain America because like playing as like, I don't know, like Thor sucks or something. You know, like I want to make sure that all the play styles feel good or something. And it's always hard to like juggle like a bunch of different play styles in one game. And I feel like a lot of games don't even do that anymore. Like I feel like a lot of them are just like the basic mechanics, and you play through that the whole game and just like, you know, keep adding onto it as the game goes on. But this is like, here's like 6 or something different characters, and I guess you'll switch between them. This is just guessing. Like I don't really know yet. No one knows yet. But I mean, that's what I guess. That's what I think when I'm thinking of an Avengers game, is to play as all the Avengers. So it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out, and I hope it does, or it turns out well, because they announced this quite a while ago. So yeah, I think it was when Age of Ultron came out. So yeah, it's been quite a while. I think it was Age of Ultron. I can't remember.
Yeah, and like the whole, I guess, like movie tie-in games has been dead for a very long time. So we haven't had like any good like superhero games that weren't like, that were original, I should say, other than like Spider-Man recently, and before that the Rocksteady Batman games. So, you know, how this Avengers game is going to play out will definitely be very, very interesting. And like you said, I think you're very true in the fact that a lot of game developers want to just develop this one game with this one gameplay style, and you just play through that, and it evolves as the game goes on, sort of thing. Yeah. So how they're going to mesh all of these different characters and how that is going to affect the gameplay, and even like the story, I'm wondering how that's going to play out. So definitely going to be very, very interesting when that gets revealed on June 10th at 6 p.m. PST, I believe. So
yeah, I'm also looking forward to see just what this is going to be, because for a while I'm just like, what is this even going to be? All right, so next we got the release date trailer for Death Stranding. So basically, just like the most important thing was the release date's coming out November 8th, 2019, so pretty soon. But also we got like a bunch of like story bits and things like that. I mean, none of it still doesn't make sense to me, but I guess that's like the charm. Like, I'm getting a little hyped for it now. You know, for a little bit I was just like, I don't really know, like the game's taking forever to come out, and like my hype was starting to go down a bit. But I think this trailer kind of reignited, like, yeah, this game looks kind of cool. It looks like the gameplay is very similar to like Phantom Pain, like Metal Gear 5. That to me anyway, that's what it looks like. Like you just run around, it's like a third-person shooter type thing with, I guess you could interact with different things. Again, I don't really know what the main like sort of goal is for the game. It sounds like you got to rebuild America, like from what what's his face, Norman Reedus has been saying. Like, we got America screwed, we got to rebuild America and things like that. So, again, I'm not too sure what the gameplay is gonna exactly be, but from what I'm seeing, I'm like, it looks pretty good. I don't know what about how you think about Death Stranding. So, what do you think about it?
Obviously, you know, it still is what the hell is going on, but I'm very much looking forward to it. First reviews that come out for this game are going to be very important. I think that people are definitely going to have a, you know, strongly positive opinion on Hideo Kojima just because of what he's been through over like the past 5 years, with, you know, his whole thing with Konami and stuff like that. So that'll definitely play into the review factor, I think, for a lot of critics out there. But I mean, you know, it looks it looks, okay, I guess. I'm not necessarily wowed by it, but I'm definitely very intrigued because it's still just like, what the hell is going on still, It's like this post-apocalyptic futuristic game that's going on here, and like the story involves like these factions, and like there's like these creatures that you can't even see and whatnot. Like there's definitely a lot going on here, so I'm just interested to go and see when the reviews come out. I might still buy it if the reviews are bad, but I highly doubt that they will be. But yeah, definitely still interested within the game, but I'm not, hyped for it, if I can say that.
I would say the exact same thing. I'm like more intrigued about it because I don't know what it is still than hyped for it. Like, I'm like, I'm eagerly waiting to see what it gets for reviews and stuff. And if it gets good reviews, I'm probably gonna pick it up. So.
Okay, so next piece of news we got is Robert Pattinson. I think I said that right. He will be playing Batman now. So I believe the solo Batman movie, The Batman, he will be playing Batman in that movie. So
oh my God, is this Twilight Man?
Yeah, this is the guy from Twilight. But he even doesn't like the Twilight movies himself. So if that'll do yourself any good, but also he's starred in other things, and I think that for the majority opinion, he's done well outside of Twilight. People just associate him with that role just because it's so iconic and stuff like that. But I think that, the kid can act. Like, this guy can definitely act. I'm just, waiting to go and see, footage, trailer, stuff like that. So I'm not against it, but I'm not, excited, if I can say that.
Yeah, it's like his face doesn't scream Batman to me. Like, he seems still a little too, like, pretty boy-y. I mean, I guess, like, what's his face? Bruce Banner is kind of like that, but I don't know. I kind of expect someone a little more gruff, I guess. If that makes sense. I don't know. Like, I did see, like, Twilight 1 and 2 just out of curiosity at, like, some point in my life, and they weren't good at all. Like, they were horrible, but they were still funny to watch. And, I mean, he was just, like, he was acting. Like, he was doing stuff. It wasn't really good. It was kind of bland, but I don't know if it's fair to just judge them on that. Like, I don't know what else movies he's done, to be honest. So
he's done other, like, I wouldn't say smaller movies, but not as well known movies, if I can say that, compared to like Twilight, obviously. Yeah.
So it's an odd choice. It's not like the first person I would probably pick to be Batman, but hey, if he could do it, then we'll see. He's not the worst the DC universe has had to deal with. So
yeah, the DC EU or whatever it's called definitely needs to pick up their shit, and I guess this is part of step one. I know that they showed off a new Wonder Woman poster for the next movie. That looks pretty cool, but it's just a poster. But now that we got a new Batman, it's definitely gonna be very interesting on how this plays out.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be great, but I'll give it a chance. I do like Batman, so we'll see what they do with that. It's been a while since like a Batman
Shazam
movie
was good in my opinion.
And that's true. Yeah.
The Joker movie that'll come out later this year looks
that looks promising.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely turning it around. But if this whole Batman movie bombs, I think that'll be back to ground zero, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like they're really riding on this Batman, like this new Batman series. So hopefully they do it, because I would like a new Batman like sort of series. All right, so now we got the final 12 Genesis games for the Genesis Mini, and there's a lot of games in this. So first, the new games are Tetris, and then you got Virtual Fire 2, you got Monster World 4, you got a bunch of games. Oh, you got Strider, that's a good one.
Yeah,
and then the rest are just filler games. But from the whole collection of games, you got some good ones. You got obviously all the Sonics. You got like Echo the Dolphin. You got Toe Jam and Earl. You got Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. You got Earthworm Jim. You got the Mickey games. Like Alex Kidd. You got some good stuff. Same thing with Mega Man Wily Wars. So it's a pretty good package.
Yeah, there's 42 games in total, but part of the 12 new announced games. One of them you skipped over, Tetris. The reason that game is so interesting.
Tetris, sorry.
Nah, it's all right. The reason why that game is so interesting is because that is one of the rarest Genesis games out there.
Tetris, really?
Yeah, seriously. That game is pretty much nowhere to be seen if you are like looking to buy it. It's like extremely rare. And people have compared it to like Star Fox 2 for like the SNES Classic. So, them adding this game along with, others like Mega Man, the Wily Wars, and all that other stuff. So, when this comes out, I would not be surprised if this, sells out and is, very highly valued among collectors. So, very excited to go and see it drop and how well it does. So.
Yeah, I think it'll do pretty well. I think the games they're offering is pretty cool. And having like those two like sort of rare games is a nice bonus.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good selection we got going on here. And it's only going to be $80, and it's going to launch on September 19th.
That's pretty good. Sega's doing a good job right there.
Okay, so now we got the THQ remakes. They dropped some bombshells. So the first one was SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. This is a game that was released back in the day around like the Xbox, PS2, GameCube era. And a lot of people on the internet really love this game just because they're very nostalgic about it. And I think I played it like years ago. I think it was like after the hype, went down, I guess. And it was all right. It's like a pretty basic platformer, but it's doing its job, if I can say that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but the fact that they're remaking it obviously builds on the nostalgia factor. And when there were rumors about this game being remaked and ported onto the newer systems, there was obvious hype around it. And yeah, I'm kind of excited for it, but not excited like other people are, but definitely looking forward to how this remake, or rehydrated as it's called, plays out.
Yeah, like again, I never played it. I always saw on like Blockbuster to rent it, and I was always tempted to, but never did. And all I heard is like it's like a really good like I guess like show, like a movie tie-in game, but it's not a movie tie-in game. You know what I mean? License game. There you go. Yep. It was a very good license game, and a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for it. So that's nice that they're getting their their thing over here, the nostalgia fix. But the thing I'm excited for, and I was hoping they would announce for a while, is they're remaking Destroy All Humans. So this is Destroy All Humans. The first one came out like 2005, and it's basically just like Alien GTA. That's like probably the best way to describe it. So you would just go like do missions, like very GTA style missions, but you're like an alien. That's like basically the whole premise of the game. But it looks like they are just remaking. Now, it doesn't look like they're rebooting it per se. It looks like just a straight remake with like all new graphics and whatever. And I think that's pretty good. I would prefer if they just made a new one, like a Destroy Humans like 4 or whatever. But I think remaking a game that's like as old as this, and it's like kind of obscure. Like I don't know many people. This trailer's been getting people kind of hyped, but it's still like pretty an obscure series. So I think remaking it for like a newer generation is probably the best call they could do. So I'm pretty excited for it. They didn't release too much. It was just like a CG trailer, and they would show some screenshots. And I think the game looks really good. Like graphically, I think it is doing its job and being like stylized 50s and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I hope they reprise like the voice roles for the characters, since they're pretty memorable. Like the dude who voices the other alien is like Zim from Invader Zim, so I hope they get him back. But I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah. Remakes are always good, just to let developers and studios know where interest is for like a new game. So like if they were to like make a newer like SpongeBob game, or even like a Destroy All Humans game, remakes and remasters obviously help see where interest is. But if they mess it up here, that would not be good, because there have been many remakes and remasters, even like straight ports, that have just collapsed and just not been all that great. So
exactly, like, so if this fails, then like Destroy Humans is probably dead forever, and I hope not, because I really do like that series. So it's been like 11 years since the last one came out, so I would love it if it would do well, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Alrighty,
So now we got real big news. We got the Pokemon Direct here, and it's 15 minutes, and it wasn't that long, and they basically announced all the things I expected them to announce. So they basically like showed you the new battle gimmick, which is Dynamaxing, basically meaning your Pokemon gets really big, and then that's it. I'm just gonna talk about Dynamaxing for a second. So I already knew they were gonna add a new battle gimmick. In Gen 6 it was Mega Evolution.
Yep.
In Gen 7 it was Z moves, and now it's Dynamaxing. And Dynamaxing just seems like Mega Evolution if it was actually balanced, which I like. I do like that it just seems like Mega Evolution, but balance being that you can only Dynamax your Pokemon once per battle and only lasts 3 turns, which is what Mega Evolution should have been in the first place. The thing I don't like about it is that it's just that the theme sucks. Like, they just turned big. Like, it's kind of stupid. I think the problem I have with Game Freak now is that they keep introducing these mechanics, but they just don't refine them. Like, Mega Evolution is a cool concept. It's just that it was broken and that only certain Pokemon would have it, right? Yeah. And usually they just give it to popular Pokemon anyway, when Mega Evolution should be for like Pokemon that suck, and then you Mega Evolve them and they get better. They should have just brought back Mega Evolution for this game and just put these nerfs on it. Like, you can only you can only Mega Evolve once per battle, but just put that 3-turn like time limit on it, where it just made it so much more balanced. Because once you Mega Evolve a Pokemon, you could just sweep through a whole team just by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they're stupidly broken. So I think having those restrictions would have been good. But I don't know. They just decided, let's just add another new mechanic that's just gonna go away in the next generation. It's just annoying. But I do like the balancing wise. I like it. Theme wise, I don't. I think it's stupid. But whatever. I could live with it being there. The next sort of big thing was the wild area that they showed off. And this is basically what I was hoping that this whole generation would be about, instead of just being like an area in the middle. But I'll take what I could get. So basically, the wild area is just like a full free roam area where you could like move your camera, and like you can just actually move your camera for once. And it's basically just like a Breath of the Wild type area. It kind of reminds me of in Ocarina of Time, the Hyrule Plains. Like, it kind of connects to a bunch of different cities and towns, and it looks like you'll be going through it a lot throughout the adventure, like going through it to go to different areas and things like that. And I think that's a good compromise. You still have your routes and caves and stuff, but you have this big open world that that they could do now, since it's on like a proper console. So I think that's pretty neat. You can see like all the Pokemon free roam around, which is nice. I think last time when they first showed gameplay for this, I think I said like I'm kind of disappointed, like there's no more free roam Pokemon, but it looks like that's not the case. So you could interact with Pokemon in the overworld and like fight them and stuff like that. I don't know if that's only a wild area exclusive type thing, but I'm pretty sure in the routes you could also like see the Pokemon running around, which is nice. Even for more things in the wild area, they also said like the Pokemon would change based off the weather. So there's gonna be like different weather effects going on. So from it raining, there's gonna be like more water type Pokemon around. When it's like a sandstorm, there's gonna be like more ground type Pokemon and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty neat, like having like all these dynamic weather effects and make the world seem more alive, even if it is like just one area of the game. And another big feature that also kind of connects to the wild area is the raid battles, where you could have 4 other trainers, or I guess 3 other trainers, join you in like this cooperative like boss battle where you find like a giant Dynamax Pokemon. And I think that's pretty cool. I think Pokemon never really had a co-op mode before, so it's kind of cool to have like these raid battles from Pokemon Go in the main series games. And I really like that idea. See, that's something that I wish Game Freak would add more of, because having like a cooperative mode where you don't have to worry too much about like just getting your perfect IVs and natures and stuff, and just have a fun time with friends. I think that's a pretty neat feature that they added. And besides that, they just showed off new Pokemon, and then like some of the other characters and stuff like that. Not too much important stuff, but those are basically the main big feature, was Dynamaxing the whole wild area. Yeah. And from my for my first impressions, it got me a lot more hype for this game. Dynamaxing is whatever, but I think that wild area really does add like a breath of fresh air that I think this series really needed. And I'm happy that it's going this route. And I hope Gen 9 would just be full on just wild area the whole game. And I feel like this is like a good testing ground to see if people like it, which people obviously do. People are going crazy for this. So I really hope Game Freak takes that into consideration when they're making Gen 9. So yeah, there you go. I'm sorry I went off there. Do you wanna you wanna add anything to that?
I mean, I don't got much to say. You know, you're definitely the more Pokemon fanatic than me these days. But I mean, I watched it like a couple hours ago, this Direct, and I was just like, you know, it looks good. My biggest thing is the freeform camera. Like, that's definitely very, very cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're changing the camera perspective this time around, and you know, the new Pokemon, they look cute. Whatever. The whole Dynamaxing, like you said, I pretty much agree with everything you said. They just turn big and it's only for 3 turns, which is more balanced, but the concept or like how it looks is just really goofy. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's Pokemon we're talking about here, so
that's true.
Not really much to say. The legendaries for each game, Sword and Shield, they definitely look very cool. I really like the designs of those 2 Pokemon, so... I'm looking forward to it. I might buy it. I'm not sure. X and Y really killed my Pokemon hype after that. So
you should really buy Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon is fantastic. I love Sun and Moon. I felt the same exact way. You know, after X and Y, I was like, I don't know if this series is really like doing enough for me anymore. But after I played Sun and Moon, it really brought me back. So I would give Sun and Moon a try.
All right. Well, I just recently bought a new 2DS, so maybe I'll buy. Should I get Ultra Sun?
No, or? Get Sun and Moon, because Sun and Moon is like the best like experience you get for that generation, since Ultra Sun and Moon is more based off like endgame stuff and like they completely ruin like the story. Like, I know it's weird to say Pokemon like story but I feel like in that game is kind of more relevant. So yeah, I would stick to just getting regular Sun and Moon, and if you want more, get Ultra Sun and Moon. But yeah, just get regular Sun and Moon.
All right. Well, that's a recommendation from Damian if you are in a situation like I am. So
yeah,
let's move on to Google Stadia. So I think that this was definitely the biggest news of the week. Google pretty much giving us everything we needed to know about their streaming cloud gaming platform pretty much before it launches later this year, sometime in November, I believe. So I pretty much just jotted down a bunch of notes here, then I'll stop at a certain point. So Google's goal is to make gaming more accessible, which makes sense because, you know, nowadays I think the mass majority of people who play games do it on a console for the most part. You know, obviously you have people like you and I, Damian, that just play on PC, but also, you know, sometimes play on console. But for the most part, people just buy a machine and then they just buy games for it and, you know, use that for however long that lasts. So there's going to be no downloads, no patches, or installs. You're pretty much going to be using Google's data center as a platform, no console whatsoever. And the thing that really interested me the most was the bandwidth. So this is this is download speed that you need. So 10 megabits will get you 720p, 60 FPS, and stereo sound. This is the recommended minimum. So if you have anything below this, it is not recommended to try out this Google Stadia service. But if you have 20, you get 1080p HDR video, 60 FPS, and 5.1 surround. And then you have 35 megabits. You have 4K HDR video, 60 FPS, 5.1 surround. So the thing that I like the most about this aspect is the fact that they wanted to have it at 60 FPS.
Yes.
So that is like the most important thing, because when you're streaming something, especially when it comes to a game and you're playing it, I think 60 FPS is probably the most consistent and probably the best way to play a game at. Because like when you go from 60 to 120 or even 60 to 144, it's not that big of a difference. Yeah. So I think that just keeping it at a nice steady 60 is very important. And the fact that you only need 10 megabits per second in terms of like your upload speed is very, very good. Because I just tested my internet speed. I was like close to like 96, 97, something like that. So like obviously that's not going to be everyone's situation here. So you know, depending on what your internet speed is, you will be playing at a different resolution and stuff like that. So what do you think? Good stuff.
Yeah, I actually think the requirements aren't that heavy, which is nice. Obviously I think a lot of people want to aim for that, like that 20 megabits per second for you know, the 1080p HDR and stuff like that. But if you can only do 10 megabits per second, I think the 720p 60 FPS is also fine. Obviously, if you want the 4K, it's just like the 35 megabits per second. Like if you could do the 20, you could probably do the 35. So I actually think the requirements aren't as steep as I thought they were going to be, which is nice. And again, like you said, I'm really happy that they're really targeting that 60 FPS. Since for me, I feel like that's more important than resolution now. Like, I mean, obviously, I want it to still be HD. Like I think 1080. I'd rather have 1080p, but if I sacrifice a low resolution for more FPS, then I'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah. Google definitely did their research and was like, all right, so like what actually is better for the experience of people who play games? Is it resolution or FPS? And they probably came down to the conclusion, yeah, we need to keep this at 60 FPS and forget about resolution sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that is very, very good. And it is recommended to play on the Stadia controller, obviously from Google. They're like, you got to buy our controller, or you can play on mouse and keyboard or whatever supported controllers they announce for it. So one thing that interested me the most about this is the fact that if you want to play on your TV, you need a Chromecast Ultra, which is fine. But if you play on a desktop, laptop, or a tablet, a Chrome browser is all you need, which is very cool. I think.
Yeah, that is very nice. Yeah, obviously for the TV, you're going to need a Chromecast thing. But yeah, if you're playing on literally anything else that's not a TV and you have a Chrome browser, then you're fine. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Like that's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like they wanted to make this accessible, so they were like, all right, let's just use our browser and see exactly how we could, make Google Stadia work with it, which obviously they did. So that is going to be very, very cool and very interesting to see how that plays out. And then they announced a subscription model. So Stadia Pro, it's $10 a month, and pretty much you're able to get access to like games and stuff, I believe.
Yeah, they weren't that clear. Like I think you get like Destiny 2, which is going free to play anyway. But I think you get like all the DLC for Destiny 2 and get some other things. I think you get like a library of games, but it's not like that many. They're not that clear on it because another thing we're going to talk about later is for the Stadia, you have to buy games at full if you want to play them, I guess. Like, because apparently you can't just like get into the service and play new games. I don't think it works like that. I think if it's a newer game, you have to buy it for $60 and then you could play it. I think that's how that works anyway.
Yeah,
it's a little unclear. It's a little unclear. Like they're not too clear about these bits here, which is like the most important bits. But yeah, apparently if you subscribe to the service, you could get like some games, I guess. So, and I mean, $10 a month isn't that bad. Like it's fine.
It obviously depends what you're getting. So
yeah, it depends on what you're getting, which I really don't know. Like I was looking at the website earlier, and I really can't tell. It just spat a bunch of games at you. Like I think you get Assassin's Creed Odyssey and some other things.
Yeah, probably some like older games.
Yeah,
I would guess, because it would be hard to imagine if like a recent AAA title that came out like last month would be on the Stadia Pro sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it seems
they're definitely very unclear in terms of like what you're getting with the Stadia Pro. All I saw was that it's $10 a month. So
yeah. There's also like this Founders Edition you can get that's like $130. So you get like the Chromecast, you get a controller, you get 3 months of Pro Pass, plus a Friend Pass, which is nice. You get the Destiny 2 collection, and then you could like I guess have like you can
your
make like
name.
a username. Yeah, you get first
dibs or whatever before like it launches. So if you have like a very generic name and you want to go and get that, I guess paying $129 is the fee you gotta pay. So, but I mean, for all that, it's not too terrible. I mean, like obviously the controller itself and like the 3 months I think are good, and then on top of that you're getting a Chromecast. So like I'm not sure if the Chromecast Ultra could do other things. It would be really hard to imagine if this Chromecast only worked with the Stadia and that's it. I would imagine you could do other things on the Chromecast as well. So I mean, for $130, I don't think it's that terrible of a price. But they did mention like Stadia Base real quick. They were just like, you can buy games and play them whenever you want. And I was like, oh, okay, as long as the servers are up, right? Like that was like my sort of thinking behind that statement.
Yeah.
So
it just seems like it's not really like what I thought it was gonna be. It's not like the Netflix of games, which I was kind of hoping it would be. It just seems like just a more accessible way to play video games. But
Yeah.
it's also like, why not just buy a console when it gets cheaper, and then you could just like play like I guess so you're not limited to just exclusives. I guess maybe I don't know. It's hard. I don't really know what they want with this thing, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna get some use for people that just want to try a game and they don't want to like I guess shell out like $300 or something for a PS4 or Xbox One or whatever. So they just subscribe to this thing and then there you go.
This is still very up in the air, even after like this 20 minutes presentation. So I'm definitely still very skeptical about this whole Google Stadia thing. I wonder when it launches to like everyone if like the servers are gonna crash or like something wrong's gonna happen. I would not be surprised if it did. But like the games that they showed during this presentation were Baldur's Gate 3, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Glite, Get Packed, which reminded me of Overcooked very much, and then Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So far, all we have is a bunch of third-party titles, which is, what you should expect from a newer game platform. Having exclusives on it is going to be very, risky, especially on both sides for Google and the game dev. So right now, I think that a lot of this is about testing the waters in terms of like what Google can do with like a cloud gaming service and if cloud gaming can even be like a thing these days, if I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be an interesting testing ground, and I feel like a lot of the big boys are going to try something like this, like Sony and Microsoft might. I mean, I think the Switch is already testing things like this in Japan, like they're doing, like, you could stream, Resident Evil 7 on your Switch. Like, I know that was a thing that was happening for a little bit, but it didn't really work too well. So I can see other gaming companies trying the same thing that the Stadia is doing. But I guess we gotta wait and see. This might be, like, a push forward for this sort of optional streaming service if you don't really want to, I guess, buy a game for full price. If they want, they should just put it like, hey, rent a game for like $10 or whatever, or like $5 and just like stream it for a while, and there you go.
Like if they expand on like what you can actually buy and what you can do with Google Stadia, I think that would be very much more comforting, especially for you and me, because we're both like, what the hell is this actually supposed to do? For us anyways. So if there's like services on there that aren't available on PlayStation or Xbox, like you can actually like rent this game for like 24 hours and see how you like it, for like a very reasonable price. Like it can't be like $20, like come on bro, it's got to be like $5, $10, $15 at most, I would say. So the fact that it is a streaming gaming service is definitely, it's like like going to attract many people to it, but how long it's going to keep people using it is the next question, because we already have the big three, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo going on here, along with PC lingering around. How is Google Stadia going to fit into these four, if I can say that?
Yeah, I don't think it's really targeted. I guess right now it doesn't feel targeted to like just like a regular gamer, if I could say that. It's like more. It seems a lot more targeted to like more casual people that just seem like, oh, I want to play this game, but I don't really want to like invest into a whole console or whatever. But then again, that means that this person is probably going to play on their TV, so they still have to shell out the money for a Stadia controller, which is like $70, and a Chromecast. So it's still. I don't really see it fitting anywhere unless you're really playing on a desktop and the casual person's like, I want to play this game. So then they download it and then there you go. Like, I don't know. It seems really weird to me. Like, I don't know what it wants to be at right now, but I guess all we could do is wait and see. Yeah,
definitely. Because, it's still very early on, and they plan on expanding to more countries outside of what they've already announced. The US is included, obviously. So definitely very interested to go and see what Google does with this, because if it doesn't take off, that is obviously going to be very bad, and pretty much going to show us that if Google can't even do a cloud gaming service, who will? Like, are we even prepared to do something like this? So we're just gonna have to wait and see, like you said.
Yeah, until more companies like decide to like do stuff. So
yeah, because right now they kind of just like threw a bunch of like third party, like logos at us. I saw like Rockstar in there and like Warner Brothers and all this other stuff. So right now it's just a bunch of third party support. So maybe Xbox might dive into it. Who knows? I doubt it though, because that is a definitely competitor to them right now. But Xbox is definitely opening up to a lot of competitors, I would say.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Again, it wouldn't surprise me this whole Stadia thing just goes into a movement of all the other gaming, like the big three, like trying something like this, or maybe even Steam, like they want to like try like this whole streaming service. So it's an interesting like sort of like future of where gaming is gonna go, but I don't think Stadia is gonna be around to like see it through the end. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, all this presentation did for me anyways, now that I'm thinking about it, is that it answered some question, but it brought up more questions,
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll give us more details before it launches later in November of this year. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into things we've done recently. For the last 2 episodes, I did it first, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Alrighty. So I've been told to watch more anime by a lot of people, as in some of my other friends and my brother. So I've been going through my brother's recommendations, and I watched 2 of them. So I watched Goblin Slayer. I don't know if you heard like the whole controversy about this, where basically like the first episode has like has rape in it, and it's like I'm like, God. Okay. So look, I think the show is really good. Like I like it a lot, and I feel like a lot of people like sort of just judge it harshly just based on that first episode. But I feel like it's sort of needed, since the whole concept of the show is that this dude, which is basically Doom Guy, he really hates goblins, right? And I feel like this first episode really establishes why goblins are horrible, horrible things. I mean, it's not that graphic. Like, it's not like that bad. Like, I thought it was going to be way worse than it was. But it was still pretty bad. Like, I feel like if you could get past the first episode, it's probably the worst it gets. Then it gets pretty, like, more tame. But, yeah, I know a lot of people would make a big fuss about the whole first episode because of the sensitive subject matter. But I feel like it was necessary to really feel no sympathy for the goblins themselves, and why you feel good about him killing all of them like really violently. So I was like, okay, yeah, I don't feel bad about these things at all. But basically that's basically what the whole show is about, is this dude really hates goblins, and then he would just kill every single one of them. As you go further throughout the show, it shows more backstory about why he hates them as much as he does, and it really brings up some like, I guess, good points about how if people are like dealing with a greater evil, like how about like these little towns, like they're gonna be screwed over by like these little monsters that no one really cares about, because the big heroes don't want to really deal with it. They rather deal with like the big demon lord than the little dumb goblins. So it does some pretty interesting like storytelling there, where it's not really that grand, but it does feel a little grand because of it's a very small scale story where you're basically in one town the whole time, or I guess 2. But yeah, I think what it does well, it does well. But I think some people just judge it based off the first episode, because again, it is like a pretty heavy subject matter there. But I feel like it's necessary to really get across that they suck and you want to see them all die. So I recommend it. It's only 10 episodes too. It's very short. So I recommend it if you're into like some like good old fantasy type stuff. The next one I really want to talk about is ReZero. This show is very good and I like it a lot. So it's a isekai, which basically means, Sword Art Online, when the dude gets transported into another world, it's that. So at first it sounds kind of generic, and it kind of wants you to think that for the first half of episode 1, but then it's not. So basically the whole concept of the show is this dude gets transported to a fantasy world, but the whole gimmick is that when he dies, he goes back to like sort of like a save point, quote unquote. Like he goes back into a point in time before all that stuff happened. So as you can imagine, that leads into like a lot of bad stuff, because one, he feels every single death, he feels like excruciating pain because you're dying. Plus you get a lot of PTSD from dying. Plus every time you go back in time, you lose any like interactions with the people you made. So let's say he meets a person and he makes like a lot of good progress with that person. If he dies and goes back to a certain point in time, they will just forget everything that he said and stuff like that. So yeah, as you could expect, that leads into like a lot of horrible situations where he would die and then he wants to talk about it, but he can't. and like just a lot of other nonsense. And that's basically all you really got to know about it. Like I can't really say much about like really going into spoilers about it, but it is very dark. Like I would say it is a very dark show. It's not happy at all. There's some episodes where it's just straight up like, Jesus, stop. It gets pretty bad. But I love it because of that. It is a very realistic setting. It really shows you what would happen if this random dude from our world goes into like a world full of magic and swords and stuff, but he sucks. Like, you know, in most of these shows, when someone gets transported into the magical world,
it's like,
like,
oh
they're
shit,
like,
I know how to do everything.
Yes, like they automatically are like the main hero. Everyone loves him, and there you go. This one's like, no, he ain't nothing in this world. He gets like sliced up and dies like almost all the time because he doesn't know how to do anything. Like he doesn't know how to do magic or fight. Like it's the only thing he has with him is the knowledge of what he had when he died, which leads into some really cool like murder mystery type things with himself, and it's really interesting, and with like, you know, has a lot of good drama and things like that, and it's great. I love it a lot. The problems with the show that I see people bring up is not a lot. If you really look at it, not a lot really happens in terms of main plot. Like there is plot points that get brought up, like all the politic type things of this world and how he got into this world and all that stuff, why he has this power, but they don't really go into it that much. This whole first season just feels like they're really just building up the main character's like motivations and like testing his like limits on what he could do and stuff like that, more so than like moving any sort of plot around, which some people might have a problem with, but what you call it, I think it works out pretty good because you know, they really wanted you to build to, sort of like see this character go through all this stuff so he becomes a better character at the end. So, and I think it does a really good job at it. I really like all the supporting characters, especially one of the other main characters throughout the show that you will meet. And yeah, I basically just like it a lot. I can't really say much about really spoiling it and why I really like it. There's two particular episodes that just make this show like so fantastic. Like I love it, and I love those two episodes for the exact opposite reasons. Like there's one episode that's just horrible, like in a good way, and one episode that's just like amazing. Like it's hard. It's really hard to talk about without spoiling it. But basically, I would just recommend it to anyone that's really interested in these type of things and wants maybe something that subverts a lot of anime tropes that, you know, you would expect from this kind of genre. And yeah, I just highly recommend it. It's great. I can't really talk about that much about just going into more details on why I like it so much. It's 25 episodes. Apparently there's going to be a season 2 that was announced like a couple months ago. So that's great because I could really use more of this. And yeah, basically I just like it a lot.
I'll put it on my watch list.
You should. It's very good. I like it a lot. And next I've been playing Divinity 2, which is also kind of cool because they are making Baldur's Gate 3 now. So I think Leonard Studios, that's the name of this company. Basically, it was a game. It came out like 2017, and it's like a CRPG, which is like one of those like more like, you know, those old school sort of like computer RPGs, you know, like Baldur's Gate and like some of the other ones that came out during that like late 90s era. And it's very good. Also, it's nice to have like a bunch of different like choices that really in fact like impact the gameplay and stuff like that. Like if you pick, like, you can basically just kill anyone if you wanted to, or you could go through things the hard way and like go through the actual quest and things like that. So like if a NPC is like, hey, do this for me, you could just be like no and just kill him and just take like his keys or whatever. Or you could just go through the actual quest and like do whatever. Like I miss those sort of RPGs. I felt like the last really good Western RPG I played was Fallout New Vegas, since it had that very same like you could just do whatever. Like you don't have to play by the rules. You could just do what you want, and I really like that. Even though most of the time I'm like the goody two shoes anyway, so I'm gonna do like all the quests and things like that because that's just how I play. Like you don't have to do that at all. You could just do whatever you want. Besides that, I think the game has a really good like you can just build your character however you want as well. Since the game doesn't have set classes, you could just make yourself whatever you want, which is also pretty cool. It doesn't restrict your build styles to like, hey, I want to be like just pure mage, or I just want to be like a pure warrior. You can, but you can also be like a warrior that uses magic and be like a battle mage or whatever. Like it's not really set in stone, so it really leads to a lot of cool builds and stuff like that. Basically, I just recommend it to anyone that likes like those sort of Western RPGs where your choices matter and things like that. It's also really cool that they every single piece of dialogue is all voice acted. So, and this is a game with a ton of like writing and stuff like that, and all of it is voice acted, even like narrations and stuff like that. It's something they didn't have to do, but it really adds to the game and makes me care a lot more about certain situations that I would just skip dialogue over, because everything is voice acted. So it just really adds to the experience a lot more than I thought it would. So yeah, I would highly recommend Divinity 2 if you're like remotely into like Western RPGs or anything like that. It's on consoles as well, which my brother has been playing, and apparently it works pretty well. The UI seems really clunky on consoles, I'm not gonna lie, since it seems like it was made for a mouse and keyboard. But yeah, I would highly recommend it if you're itching for a good Western RPG. And that's it.
Okay. So, obviously I've been playing League of Legends. Since the last episode, I hit Masters, and then I went back down to D1.
Oof.
Unfortunate. Yeah, it happens. But I think I've been playing well on some days, not so hot on some others. It happens. I really just need to like clean up my play and just kind of just like focus on me, because there's definitely a lot of games where I'm just like, wow, I really should have won, but my goddamn ex-player was just inting his face off, so can't do much about that. And, you know, it happens. I see it happen on, like, you know, higher ELO streamers all the goddamn time. And I'm just like, wow, you know, I guess I'm not the only one dealing with, you know, goddamn people having bad games. So, happens, whatever. Gotta move on. Right now, I'm D1 30 LP. I actually got demoted back to D2 for a little bit, but I got back up. But, yeah, every single time I get jungle, I, like, do well. But, like, if I don't win, it's definitely not my fault, I think. Like 100%. Like, I'm a support main and I'm just playing jungle here, and I'm just like, wow, I guess my laner just like into too hard or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think I've gotten a lot better at jungle because I like track the jungler a lot better. I'm like, all right, he's here. I just like ping, and I'm just like, don't fight, please. And you know, it works out sometimes it doesn't. You know, not everyone is you know, a intelligent human being. But there's that. And then I watched 3 movies recently. First one's Brightburn. I actually had no idea what the hell this movie was about going into it. And then I later learned that it was literally pitched as what if Superman was evil, which is exactly what this movie is. So, like, imagine if when Superman was a kid, he landed and, like, he just wanted to kill everyone. Oh. That's pretty much what this movie is. And it's really awesome. It's definitely not perfect, but I really enjoyed myself as the movie played out. So there's that. And then Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
I'm surprised you even watched it.
Oh, yeah. I was just like, you know, my coworkers were like, yeah, it's like really good. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll go watch it. And I did. As a very casual Godzilla fan, this is literally my first ever Godzilla movie, by the way. Oof. It was fun. It was definitely enjoyable.
Okay, so I haven't watched it yet, but as, you know, a fan, you know, I basically watched, like, every Godzilla movie when I was a kid, and even now. So I just, like, as a casual Godzilla watcher, as someone who, like, this is your first ever Godzilla movie, what did you really think about it? Like,
I mean, every single time I saw, like, you know, monsters on the screen, I was like, let's go. Let's get it, pretty much. Obviously, the human characters are not the focus. They're the ones chasing after the monsters the entire movie, which is how it should be. Yeah. But obviously, they do try to, you know, implement some, like, plot points here and there to, like, make the human characters a little bit more interesting. But, you know, I think it all works out in the end for myself anyways. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say, you know, it was, like, amazing or fantastic, but it was definitely watchable. I will say that. Other than the guy next to me who was 100% drunk and, like, burping and, like, doing all of these, like, weird things. Like, his phone went off a couple of times. I was like, dude, what the hell is going on? But, you know, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. If you just want to see Godzilla and, you know, his other monster friends just destroy shit, that's the movie. Hell yeah. And then I saw Booksmart, which is a comedy about 2 teenage girls. It's like coming of age story. And pretty much they spent the entire time during their high school years trying to get into like good colleges like Yale and like Harvard and all this other stuff. Dude. But it turns out all those people that did party and did all the crazy shit also got into those good schools. So it's all about, the night before graduation where they pretty much try to go to this one party and, go ape shit. And it's very enjoyable, very watchable. I really did like it. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I was really surprised by Booksmart. Really, a movie that I did not expect to like as much, but like the writing and the jokes were just spot on, if I can say that.
That's great.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast. If you guys are listening to us on iTunes, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. I would really appreciate it. Along with Damian, but we will see you guys next week with a podcast all about E3.
Yeah, see you guys later.